Hello viewers, welcome to Core for Any. If you hear new, hit subscribe buttons and notification bell so you can never miss any our incredible content. Flutter tags app inside today we need to see this here. The static data save inside the local database. Need to local database inside the use here the SQLite 3 database. Need to use this here. And yesterday we need to create here the DB helper class. We need to develop here and to creating here these tables. First of all, need to call this here the static methods. Need to call this here the single instance inside the main files. This is the important parts because need to create here first the tables. That's why I need to create here the call this here the functions DB helper dots. Need to call this here the sets and to write down here the DB instance. So need to like this need to calling this here or these functions are the needed here. And then after need to create here the database saving inside the first of all need to create here the models and to inside we need to save this here the data like this need to configurations are the need this here. First of all need to create here the libs inside the new folders need to create and to give this here the name model. And now we need to create first of all the zone models we need to develop this here. And also need to open this here the DB helper class inside the side panels. Now first of all need to create here the zone list tables need to develop here. The models need to creating here. New files and to give this here the name zone list model dot like this need to creating here and this page. First of all need to write down here the class and to give this here the name zone list model like this at here. And now need to create here some property we need to develop this here. First of all we need to given this here the tables declarations. First of all we need to pass this here the string variables. Inside we need to save this here the zone id is equal to blank. Like this we need to creating here all variables. Copy here and to paste this here need to apply this here like this we need to creating here the variables. Now give this here the zone name. Then after we need to give this here the zone JSONs. Then after we need to give this here the city. And after we need to give this here the text. Then after give this here the status. Then after created dates. And last is modify dates. Like this we need to create here the variables need to declaring sayers. And just like this data are the creates. And then after you need to create here the constructors need to write down here the zone models and to write down here these dots zone id this dot zone name these dots need to give this here the maybe no need this constructors need to direct use this here the parser zone list models need to write down here the map functions and to pass this here dynamic and to give this here the objects like this we need to set this here. Now need to call this here the these dots need to give this here the zone id is equal to, we need to pass this here the objects, and to give this here the key names, to write down here the key names, zone id, and to write down here the toString and semicolons. And no need to here write down here the these keywords. Same like need to create here the another columns, we need to put this here, and now need to change this here one by ones. Like this, we need to creating here the models. Another way, need to directly call this JSON's response pass and to directly create here the models, but we to create here the manually. In some previous video inside the explains, maybe 1 month or 2 month before, so need to explain the how can parse direct the JSON to direct creating models to through the website. Need to explain, but now not create like this. We need to manually explain here. Copy here and to paste this here. Now need to do this here the modified it like this sets here, and then after need to give this here the zone name, zone JSON, then after the city, then after need to create here the text, then after need to create here the text two times, no needs, set here the status, and then after created date, and after the modified date. Like this creating CRs. Now another functions we need to develop here the returns here the string, call this here map string, and dynamics we need to return this here the dynamic tabs, and to give this here to map functions we need to call this here, and to return this response as a JSONs. Objects need to return this here. First of all need to write down here where map, like this need to create here where property as a map, and to return this here the map. Define here the types, to write down here the string dot dynamic like this set here, and to apply this here the creating like this here, and then after need to write down here the map dots, need to copy these functions, paste this here, and to write down here map need to give this like here objects is good, but this here these lines need to use. Like this one by one need to convert inside the whole models. And returns here these objects are returning here. Like this need to creating here for this data. And then after need to write down here another functions need to calling this here, and need to write down here the another things features all these here and to list and to write down here the get all these here static functions get all features list objects like this you need to setting this here and to write down here get list functions. Write down here the assigns methods like this calling here is now need to return here the blank array and now need to write down here the calls here the db and to write down here the await and to call this here the db helpers dot shared dot db need to get this here. Now need to write down here the if conditions db is not equal to null else parts need to return this here the blank array like this set sequence. Now we need to get this here the list map is the list like this. We need to call this here and to write down here db dot row query and to write down here the select star from and to write down here the dollars db helper dots need to call this here the db dot zone list like this and set here the where conditions dollars question mark db helper dots need to call this here as status equal to set here one and to get this here the data here's and to pass this here the blank and semicolons like this. We need to getting this here the data and we need to return this data as a list like this. We need to write down here directly call this here the this models and to get list and to get this all data and to save this here. Now we need to save these here. These models are the ready. Now we need to copy these models and to create here the service list service details models need to call this here copy here and now need to convert new files service detail model dot paste this here this data. Now need to change this here the names service detail like this set series. Then after need to give this here the change this here the service id. Replace this here service ID, same as the name. Then after the seats, then after color, then after icon, then after need to set this here the top icon, gender descriptions, status, top icons, gender, and other things, descriptions like this, creating series and to assign this here the data, top icon, gender, then after descriptions like this, and also imports here helpers. Change this here the tables db dot service detail. Open here the postmans and to pass this here this value. Description as a descriptions need to give these here, then genders are the genders, and top icons need to give this here top icon. Now first of all need to give this here the service ID, then after need to give this here the service name, then after set color as a colors, icons, top icon, gender, status, dated dates, modified dates like this. Need to creating here the service detail. Tables are the creating here. Same like need to others tables are the creatings, models are the creatings. Same like here the service details as well as the price details. Then after documents and then after the zone documents. Now need to push this video and to creating these tables after need to continue this video. Same like need to create here the price details models like this need to declarations and to creating shares. And then after need to create here the documents models need to develop like this here and to set this here informations. And after need to create here the zone documents models need to develop like this. Same as process follows and to creating here. And now need to say this here first of all down to calling this here the API and also need to save this data inside the our local database. How can we use this here the db batch functions need to use this here to batch inserts need to call this here. First of all need to go inside the service calls and then after so need to add down here the one static method so need to calling this here add down here static get static data API like this need to write down here these functions for the static methods and to write down here void methods. Then afterwards we need to call this here the API. First of all need to write down here the call this here the post methods Now need to no needs any past any parameters. Now need to go inside the globe files and to declare here the some API calls for the static methods. First of all, need to write down here the statics const sv static data and to write down here the dollars base URL and to write down here the static data. Like this, need to give this here the API names and to calling this here. So need to cross verify inside the Node.js. The names are the same or not. So need to check this here. Copy here and to paste this here the static data. Now this is the calling this data API. Save this here. Now need to go inside the service calls. Need to write down here the globes dots sv key names and to give this here the static data like this. And then afterwards we need to get this here the with success blocks we need to get this here and to get this here the results objects need to response objects need to get this here like here. And since methods we need to call this here. Here. Then afterwards need to with failure blocks we need to set here the failures and to get this here the errors. Call this here since methods and to write down here like this. Now, first of all, need to write down here the try case. Maybe sometimes need to possible this here the crash. That's why I need to use this here the try case and to print this here. Debug print. So need to call this here e dot push like this here. Also, same as we need to print this here errors push like calling here. Now we need to check here the try catch insets. Need to first of all check this here the response object dot e dot value dot status is equal to 1, then to process this follow, otherwise else parts need to print this here the response to like this, write down here. And then afterwards we need to calling this here the check here payloads where payload is equal to response object dot e dot payload and to get this here the as list, not list, need to get this here the objects. Now first of all need to get this here the data as a zone list. Now we need to write down here one variables where batch variables need to define here batch is equal to db. First of all need to find out here the db objects where dot is equal to wait and to call this here the db helper dot share dots db need to get this here like this here. And then after need to call this here the db object dot batch function, so need to call this here batch like this creates here the batch. No need get here like this question mark. And then after we need to write down here the first of all check here like this batch. Now need to use this here the data and to convert it to the for each loops. Need to convert this data and to call this here the for each. Otherwise for in need to call this here give this here the variables zone object j object is equal to need to get this here the payload, and we need to write down here the names zone list, as we need to give this here the list optionals, and like this rank array need to creating here for this inquiry. Same like this creating here, same as we need to write down here the batch insert need to write down here, and to write down here the db helpers dots need to call this here per dot db dot on list. And now need to give this here the value need to given this here same as state objects. Like this we need to pass this here and these algorithms. Call this here zone list models maps inside pass this here the set objects. Then after we need to get this here two maps need to call this here. And also need to set here the conflict methods need to conflict dot replace need to call this here. If you any conflict the data inside the same data we need to find out inside the database, then we need to auto replace this data. Conflict algorithms need to call this here and to call this here the replace functions like this set here and to set here the question. Like this we need to parsing here for the zone list. Same as need to create here the service details. First of all need to explain here again. Write down here the for, then for each loop need to use this here the for each for in, and now need to give this here as objects and to pass this here the data payloads. Inside we need to get this here the service details like this, as we need to give this here list optionals and to give this here the value like this declares. Then after we need to write down here the batch question mark insert we need to write down here, and then after we need to give this here the db helpers give this here the table names, give here the table names db dot service details, and now need to pass this here the value. Now need to use this here the models because we need to first convert into the map, then after need to get against this data because need to sometime maybe possible the server side need to response are the chance database in the server database inside the add some columns remove some columns. That's why I need to here needs this here the columns wise the data. That's why I need to call this here the first of all the parts inside the models, and again get this here the our form, two methods we need to get this here the maps we need to get this here. That's why need to first of all always convert inside the models. Then again need to get this data. Otherwise maybe sometimes need to modify columns and to get this here the crash. That's why I need to save your crash full apps. That's why I need to calling like this methods. Otherwise you can not any times you need to change modify. You can give this here the direct this models past years. But need to always use these save methods. Need to calling this years. Now need to call this here the service details models dots need to call this here the maps and to give this here the as objects need to pass this here, and then after need to get this here the again two maps like this, and also need to give this here the conflict algorithms need to replace with this here the data like this. Same as need to create here the another fields for the price list. Now need to give this here the price details. Now need to set here the p objects and to pass this here p objects, and also need to change this here the price detail models, and also change here the tables price detail. Same as we need to copy against, need to paste this here. Now need to create here the document tables, documents, and to give this here same as document, and to write down here document model like, and to change this here the d objects. Copy here, need to paste this here like this. Then again need to copy and turn documents, need to give this here zone documents, and to write down here the zone document table, and also need to change this zone document models, need to import this here, and to write down here the documents, and to reflect this config are the done. And last one to print this here the db insert successfully inside this data, static data, save successfully, need to print our logs. Fix this here the typo success. Save here like this. And now need to call this here the methods inside the database. First of all, need to go this here and to open here the play screens. This times need to calling this here the API. Need to go view insights and to get this data inside the play screens. Now need to go inside the logins and to find out here the place view, and we need to calling this here the API to write down here service calls dot get static API. Need to call this here. You need to create here calls, otherwise need to go this here, and to after the initialize these methods, and also initialize this all things, and after need to calling this here. This is the here. Now if you not calling inside the place screens, then to directly call this static method starting this app run, then after need to call this here like this. Need to creating here. Also now need to check this here the here if a calling localhost. Now need to run inside the iOS emulators. Need to calling these here and to loading these here these emulators, and to run this app. Now go inside the service details service calls class, and to set here the some breakpoints. Put this here same as here, and call this here the batch, and after success like this we need to setting this here the which place break identity. Now builds are the done, and to waiting for the run inside the emulators. Now here gets here the service calls are the calling here, and like this need to click here, and also need to get this here the database path here our systems. Now need to run this here, continue here. Now need to get this here the response, and to get this here the missing parameters need to get this here. First of all need to put this here the parameters, continue this here's to print this here the response. Now first of all we need to pass this here parameters last service calls. Save the like this here, save these methods. Now need to again restart these apps and to call this again. Save here. Get this here the response. We need to check this here. Get this data and we need to continue this here and to try to parse maybe the crash. Need to check this here the response. Here not gets any status, that's why I need to execute here the issue. Now we need to fix first of all the node.js. Go here and to fix this here status and to forget here API creating times. Set here payload. Cut here and to set here. And again we need to call this here. Restart these nodes. Again we need to restart this here and to check this here. Now need to get this here the payload inside this data and calling this here the batch to check this here. Again we need to exceptions need to throw by the creating here. Maybe not creates here the tables or the creates. To check this stuff inside the helpers table create and this here. Check here the nearby creates syntax errors. I found my mistakes. Need to write down here the execute query. That's why let's here the errors. So this here's again need to restart these apps and to check this here's. Also need to verify here the service calls. This batch here's. Same as need to check inside the select query. Oh, Maybe need to delete because need to get mistakes. To go this path and to delete first of all the database. Go this folder path to delete this here this file. Now need to runs again. Tables already exist. Need to check this here. Price details, service on list, service details. Okay, we make here the mistakes. Restart again and now need to check this here. Get here the response. Statically save this successfully. Need to save this here data or the save this here and to get this here the data. Now need to check this here the database inside the get data. So nodes need to check this here. First of all need to copy this here. These lines need to copy here and you need to go finders. Paste this here this path and to open this here this database files. Now need to copy these files and to paste inside the desktops and to opening these here SQLite. If you do not inside your system are the SQLite DB like these editors and to check this here the browse data and to select this here the zone list. And one more things we need to forget lines here. Need to execute here the batch need to forget series. Insert service calls. Write down here batch executes. Not executes need to write down here the commits and to print this here the this results gets here where batch b result is equal to like this and to print this here this b results. Save this here like this here. Now restart this here again and to get this here price details inside maybe oh no columns names service names maybe need to check this here these models years we make here for base charge that's why not save the data. Now fix and check here another errors. Now again restart this here and to check again gets any errors or not to Mm, not top icons, maybe. Set here the minimum pair. Cancel chart status like this. Copy here. Save this years. Again, need to restart this years and to maybe hopes fix these errors. Again, which place need to get this here. And non column zone names inside the zone detail tables. Zone name insert no columns zone names. Check here. Maybe show it here. Go here. Need to check on documents. Here, forget sheets. On commit models. And here's damage. Need to check other things. Save this years. Again, need to restart this years. I hope not gets any errors related. Now need to save this years. This instance are the save successfully in data. And now need to get this here the database. Suppose copy here. Now need to run here. All counts. Put this years. Copy this data bit. Paste again here's. Replace here's. And to opens again this database. Maybe close this years. Now need to browse this data and to get this here the document list here. Get this here. Another price details here gets here the price details data. Then after the service details data, then after need to get this here the zone detail data, need to get this years, and then after need to zone list data, need to get this years like this data or the getting sales. Now how can download this software? So need to give this here the website. Need to go here the SQL browsers. This is the open source and to available here. No need to license by these apps. Need to download this here to if you Windows user you can download here the your operating system wise need to download and to install this inside your systems, and then after need to open this database here and to browse this here the data need to check this here. If you like this video, please give the thumbs up. If you're new user, so please subscribe my channels and press the notification bell icon. You can get every new video notifications and awesome content. If you have any question, so please write down the comment sections. I will help you and sort out your issue. Everyone have a nice day. Goodbye and take care.